What's going on, friends? There are a metric butt ton of parts and accessories for your Harley-Davidson motorcycle out there on the market. Now, honestly, nobody wants to leave their motorcycle stock, but when you get in the catalog and you start looking at the price of all these things, you've already made your list up and you kind of got that in your head of what you want to do to your bike. But when you start looking at the price of things, it can pretty much turn all those parts and accessory hopes and dreams into just basic distant daydreams, especially if you just bought a brand new Harley-Davidson. But guys, that may get you looking around at stuff that might be a little cheaper on the cost, but is it actually worth it? Yes, you can still buy a used Harley-Davidson and get a pretty decent deal on it these days. But one thing that hasn't changed is the cost of actually upgrading and changing things on your motorcycle to make it your own. Now, honestly, the stock stuff's great, but we want to make it our own. We want to personalize it and make it in our own spitting image. Now, one thing that really does suck is that the price of parts and accessories has gone up just like the new motorcycles. I mean, hell, an air cleaner now, $500. That right there is what we used to pay for the price of slip-ons back in the day. Now, as many of you may know, you can go on Amazon or eBay and pick up some parts and accessories for your motorcycle that are, well, they're otherwise just clones of what Harley-Davidson puts out and every other name brand, reputable aftermarket manufacturer out there. But the one thing that may really catch your eye with the Amazon and eBay specials is going to be the price. Guys, please don't forget, if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. Now guys, I'm going to be the first one to tell you right here, right now, and don't hate me for it, but sometimes there ain't nothing wrong with that Amazon and eBay special stuff that you can find out there. But it really just depends on what you're getting. What parts and accessories are you buying for your Harley-Davidson? Now, I understand that's probably kind of hard to swallow, especially if you just bought a newer Harley-Davidson. Say you went out and bought a new one, maybe you paid $25,000 for it, or let's just say you bought a late model used one for around $18,000. I know what you're thinking. It's kind of hard to justify putting a Amazon or eBay special part onto your brand new motorcycle. It almost feels like a downgrade. Well, in some ways it could be. It just depends on what you're actually putting on the bike. Now, for one, I damn sure wouldn't order a set of pistons or a set of cams off Amazon or eBay that come from somewhere overseas. That's just asking for trouble right there. But with some of the accessories that we've got, sometimes this shit ain't so bad. And I'll be honest with you, the price is a little cheaper. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Sometimes it's not that great. It is a roll of the dice, and by a roll of the dice, I mean you might buy something off Amazon or eBay, like say a set of foot pegs, say a set of grips. They are copies of what Harley-Davidson is putting out, and sometimes they're not so bad. Now, when it comes to a seat, yeah, you might see that seat advertised for $500 or $600, maybe more. Prices keep going up. But you might find something that looks just like it out there on Amazon or eBay. Now, take for example the backrest I have here. This right here was an Amazon special. The fit and finish on it was actually great. And guys, I've had this thing for well over 10 years. It's a little dusty right now, and the only thing I could really complain about this was the actual pad itself. The material on it is starting to wear, it's starting to weather crack, and you know what? This whole setup right here, I think I gave about $200 for it about 10 years ago, and I checked the prices on these, and they're still relatively right in that price range. But by the time I went and bought the Harley-Davidson part, which you can literally build your own backrest, which means we're buying the side plates, we're adding this accessory rack, and then you get to pick out the actual backrest portion of it. Guys, back 10 years ago, that was coming out closer to $400 for me, and I still needed the accessory mounting kit to be able to put the detachable setup on my Harley. Well, the accessory mounting kit, for one, if I recall right, it was close to about $60, $70. I bought it for probably around 30 bucks. I don't even think it was that much. But guys, it held up great. It has lasted for years. My ex-wife rode on the back of that bike with this. My daughters rode on the back of my bike with this and that whole setup. No problems whatsoever. I would highly recommend that. It's definitely something to look into, especially considering the price of what the new shit out of the catalogs costs. In my own personal experience, grips, foot pegs, axle covers, things like that seem to work out very, very well. And I paid $25 instead of $120 for a couple of caps to go over the front axles on my Harley. Now, where I do get a little leery, and I personally haven't tried these, but I know guys out there, and I've seen them out there floating around, is when you get into anything that's going to be on your engine, like it's basically going to be holding back oil or anything with the gasket. Derby covers, clutch covers, whatever you want to call them. These are very popular to change out on your Harley-Davidson. This is actually a genuine Harley-Davidson accessory that I bought about 10 years ago. Yeah, spent the big bucks on it. It was about $100. But this right here is holding back your primary fluid with the gasket. Now, if you order one of these off Amazon or eBay for about 30, 40 bucks, they do work. I haven't seen any issues with them. But it's just kind of one of those things to consider when you get into things that are holding back fluids in your engine. Now, another one, air filters. This is an air filter, K&N, bought this for the V-Rod. This unit right here, you can pick this up for, I think it was roughly about 70, 80 bucks. You can buy these for $30, $40 on Amazon or eBay in the knockoffs. Do you trust your engine to a $30, $40, don't know, no-name brand somewhere from overseas product? So definitely another thing to think about when it comes to cheaper parts and accessories. One thing I would highly recommend staying away from, and I've seen some of this floating around out there, is tuners, ignition components, anything electronic that is going to go onto your Harley-Davidson. Definitely would probably want to stay away from that. I don't know about you, but I don't think I would want to buy a set of aftermarket plug wires that came from overseas. Probably nothing wrong with it. It would probably work. It would probably be fine. But at the same time, it might leave you stranded. And I guess we could say the same thing about these too. Even though they never did leave me stranded, they've been pretty damn good. And they've held up for about the past 10, 12 years now on my bike. Definitely what we don't want to mess with is tuning. We don't want to take some no-name, we don't know where it came from, Amazon or eBay special tuner, and actually trust it to flash the ECM on our Harley-Davidson. Personal opinion here, that's just asking for trouble. I've seen some things like this floating around. I do trust these scanners, code readers, things like that. That's great. I was a little leery at first about them accessing my ECM, but they do access the ECM, but they're not reading but they're not writing to the ECM. And that is the part that I'm okay with. As long as it's not writing to my ECM, it's just pulling data for me to read to make a determination on what's wrong with the bike. I see that as perfectly okay. Now, this is an original seat off of a Harley-Davidson. Exceptional quality compared to what you can get out there on Amazon and eBay. Some of those seats are great. Some of them are absolute trash. So the only way to know if they're actually great or absolute trash when it comes to the padding and the comfort is you're going to have to buy it and try it. But if you're got the idea that like, hey, I'm going to go buy a seat off Amazon or eBay just to try it out and see how it feels, you're probably $200 in the hole that you could have put towards the $500 or $600 seat from Saddlemen or LaPera or a very reputable brand, because you're probably not going to be happy with it. It's going to look good. It might ride good just around town for about maybe a half, maybe a quarter of a day. Who knows? But pretty soon you're going to end up on the frame rail. One thing I would definitely recommend is getting some of these black box, no-name, aftermarket LED headlights for your Harley-Davidson, especially if you are still running the original equipment halogen lights. I've had the LEDs in my V-Rod and my Sportster for well over 10 years now, and guys, not an issue one. Haven't lost the bulbs, high beams, low beams, everything has worked great. And honestly, I gave about 50 bucks for the one in my Sportster because it's just a small round headlight. And of course the V-Rods had those really weird oblong shapes on the night rods. And I think I gave like 80 for that compared to the close to what, $400 Harley-Davidson wanted. And it's been great. LED turn signal inserts, things like that, they actually do work pretty damn well. So guys, what do you think? Do you like the Amazon eBay specials? Do you think it's absolute trash? Do you think it's a good product? I mean, what are your thoughts and opinions on it? Would you buy it, or would you actually just save your money and go get something from a name brand company or buy the Harley-Davidson accessory? Let me know down in the comments, and also let me know your experience with some of the Amazon and eBay specials. Let me know how it turned out for you. But anyhow, guys, that's all I got for you this week. If you guys enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. But till next week, guys, you stay safe on the streets, ride smart, dodge those cars. I'll catch you guys back here next week with a brand new video. Thanks for watching.